Welcome back to the Real News Network. I'm speaking with Dr. Leandros Fischer. He's a political scientist, currently a research associate at Cyprus University of Technology. Formerly, he's a visiting lecturer at the Center for Near and Middle Eastern Studies of the University of Marburg in Germany. Thanks for joining me again, Leandros.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Leandros, in the earlier segment, we were talking about the reunification talks that are going on at the United Nations, at least facilitated by the United Nations. And of course, we discussed the economy. But in this segment, let's take a look at the political history of Cyprus, and particularly given the newfound natural gas reserves you were talking about. This raises a number of questions as to the direction Cyprus would go if it is unified. Leandros, give us a sense of the political divides in Cyprus as the negotiations are going on. This has largely occupied political discourse in the country. But what is driving the reunification politically? We know what's driving it economically, but what's driving it politically?
Okay, I think to answer this question, it might be useful to let you know that there is a sort of threefold political division in Cyprus. So there are, I would say, roughly three social blocs which take convergent, overlapping, or contradicting positions regarding on the issue. Regarding the Cyprus issue now, I would say that on the one hand, you have the current government, which is a very neoliberal conservative government led by President Anastasiadis, who is considered abroad to be, somebody who is a moderate on the Cyprus issue and wants to solve the Cyprus issue and wants to, has the political will to do so. The force that he represents in society, I would say, is definitely a very large section of big capital, a very, thoroughly neoliberal, pro-Western part of it that has a very grand vision of wanting to reunite the island in order to have this win-win situation where the economic peace will somehow lead to the political peace. And that is one part of what I would say is the ruling class of the island. The other part is another section of capital which revolves partly but not exclusively around the Orthodox Church of Cyprus, which is a very strong institution historically, which also has a lot of business interests. And this bloc is firmly against a settlement at this present point because I think they feel very insecure that their interests will probably lose out in the case of in the prospect of a solution. So they are the ones mobilizing, inciting nationalist sentiment against any kind of settlement. And this bloc is also stretches from the from the right to the extreme right. And another bloc in society is, of course, the left. And the left has always been an active proponent of reconciliation between Greek and Turkish Cypriots, and has always been an advocate of a settlement on the basis of a bizonal, bicommunal federation that would eventually unite Cyprus. But of course, the problem, in my opinion, is right now that the left, even though it, expresses the sentiment of coexistence and the struggle against nationalism and chauvinism, the left, as such, materially speaking, is very, very weak. So it has given a very I would say, at some points, uncritical support to the current government in its negotiation process, saying that it will support the government as long as it reaches out for a settlement and tries to bring peace. But I think it's a very illusory position because it doesn't have any real strength to influence the government.
Right. Historically, the left, the Communist Party in Cyprus, was very strong. Why was it weakened, and what gave way to that?
To make a long story short, I think the main reason for the current weakness of the left is that it's very strong institutionalization during the last decades. There are no tangible experiences of class struggle in Cyprus in the last years that can be described as total confrontations between the trade unions and the state, or the trade unions and the employers. It was always a situation where there used to be strikes, and they used to be resolved by way of mediation, and there were no winners and no losers. So I think the whole neoliberal onslaught that started to really take shape after 2013, when a conservative government was voted in, caught the labor movement here off guard. So it's not that people do not want to fight back against what is the constant deterioration of their standards. It's that on the one hand, people feel very weak and isolated to fight back, and on the other hand, I think the official traditional left in the form of the Communist Party is perceived by many as being part of the establishment because it was institutionalized. It is not part of the establishment. It has been isolated by the establishment, but it's still the way that many people who are not really politicized perceive the left, and that's of course a problem. So we have had no general strikes, no large mobilizations that you had in Greece or Portugal during the last 5 or 6 years, but the problems are the same, and we are not more affluent than Greece or Portugal in this respect.
Right. Leandros, you wrote that the cost of reunification is estimated at 25 billion euros. Why would reunification cost so much money? Isn't the opening of the buffer zone actually expected to reduce the cost of security and revitalize the economy?
Well, this is one reading of it, and of course the figure of 25 billion is not it's just one of many estimates. There are of course many reasons why a solution would be costly. On the one hand, it's the solution itself. It's going to involve a lot of financial compensation, mostly for Greek refugees that were expelled in '74 from the north. This is one of the issues that the Greek Cypriot side was pressing very insistently during the last decades. But I think the more general reason why this solution will cause is in my personal opinion, will be the effort of adjusting both economies to a similar level. And conflict resolution isn't something cheap. It's going to to put it in other different historic terms, when the United States rebuilt Western Europe after World War II, they granted billions and billions of dollars for the whole effort, and nobody's willing to provide something similar in the case of Cyprus, in case of reunification. I do not mean in the quantity, but the relative financial support.
Yeah, Leandros, you mentioned in your article that President Erdogan of Turkey is more open to reunification of Cyprus compared to his predecessors in Turkey. Why would Erdogan, who is really into consolidating power and having as much landmass as he can, be up for reunification talks here?
I don't think you can describe Erdogan as being more or less flexible. I think Erdogan, what he has shown in the last 10 years or so, is that he's less ideological concerning Cyprus than his predecessors, who were all secular Kemalists, were. Because for the Kemalist establishment in Turkey, Cyprus is a very, very important issue, as it is also for the far-right nationalists. It's considered one of the, the next to the Kurdish question, one of the for Turkish nationalists, it's one of the most critical, things where they claim they cannot make any concessions, etc. But Erdogan has a very business-like attitude towards politics, and he's willing to maybe go further than his predecessors went concerning Cyprus. But I think the important thing to remember here is that for Turkey, Cyprus right now isn't the most pressing issue. Turkey has a lot of problems of its own right now concerning the Kurdish question, concerning the civil war-like climate that is taking place. And I think Erdogan sees Cyprus more or less as part of his grand bargain with the European Union on a number of issues. So it's not just Cyprus which is standing in the way between relations between Turkey and the European Union, but it's also the whole question of Turkey's role as an enforcer of the EU's migration policy. It's highly unpredictable foreign policy orientation right now, its relations to Russia, etc. One thing that Turkey is will most likely pursue in the negotiations, and has already stated that it will pursue that, is it wants to retain the system of guarantees that was established that next to the establishment of the Republic of Cyprus in 1960. And it was under this Treaty of Guarantees that Turkey invaded in 1974. From one aspect of it, what Turkey did in 1974 was legally not illegal, because they basically derived the right to intervene from the treaties, from the founding treaties of the Republic of Cyprus, which basically claim that there are three guarantor powers guaranteeing the independence of Cyprus. That's Greece, Turkey, and the United Kingdom. And each of these powers retains the right to intervene on the island if it sees its interests as being threatened. It can do that either unilaterally or bilaterally with another guarantor power.
Right. So
Turkey has said that any solution will probably has to involve the presence, even in reduced numbers, of a number of Turkish troops on the island. And this is something which I think shouldn't make one too optimistic about reunification taking place anytime soon, because this is a very important stumbling block. Greece, for example, has said that it will not accept the system of guarantees surviving in a reunified Cyprus. Turkey basically said that this is a necessary precondition for any reunification. So maybe there will be some intermediate arrangements, some other alternative form of security guarantees, but I think the differences here are pretty insurmountable concerning this aspect.
Right. Leandros, I thank you so much for joining us and giving us such context in terms of what's happening in Cyprus and these reunification talks. And we hope to have you back when there's some progress on the reunification. And looking forward to hearing from you then. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I've been speaking with Dr. Leandros Fischer. He's a political scientist and currently a research associate at the Cyprus University of Technology. Thank you so much for joining us on the Real News Network.